Good evening. You're watching a brand new week of Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. On the programme this evening, the stock markets closed at lifetime highs today, the sixth straight record-breaking rally. So why are things suddenly looking better? Some analysts say it's the anticipation of Narendra Modi as Prime Minister. Others say the fundamentals of the economy have been strengthened by the UPA. Is Modi or Chidambaram responsible for this rally? And later in the show, Amir Khan joins us live from Mumbai on why your vote matters in this election, why you need to make an informed choice, and what it will take to get more people to come out and vote. But first tonight, Finance Minister Chidambaram hit back at the BJP and Yashwant Sinha today as he outlined how and why the economy has bounced back, calling Mr. Sinha's 18 questions for him puerile. With the stock markets hitting record highs yet again today, the question everyone is asking is why? Is it a pre-election rally hoping for Modi as Prime Minister, or should the UPA and Mr. Chidambaram be given credit for turning things around? Shweta Rajpal Kohli has more.
The economy is more stable. The fundamentals have strengthened.
ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे उनकी आदत हो गई है कि मजबूत अर्थव्यवस्था उनको मिलेगी और वो उसको बर्बाद करके जाएंगे. Sri Chidambaram will be remembered in history as a spoiler.
Even as the BJP and Congress spar over the economy, the Lal Street is in a celebratory mood. Today, the Sensex and Nifty hit yet another lifetime high and closed at record highs too, making it the sixth straight session of a record-breaking rally. The Sensex has gained 18% in this financial year and 6% in March alone. So why are markets celebrating? The government insists foreign investors are pouring in money into Indian stocks because the economy is in a much healthier shape now, with the twin deficits controlled, inflation having moderated and the rupee staging a dramatic recovery. But market analysts are terming it as a pre-election or a hope rally, coming on the back of opinion polls suggesting a Narendra Modi-led government at the centre, someone who's viewed as more growth-oriented and business-friendly.
The reason why the analysts are supportive or are more encouraged by a Narendra Modi government is because it speaks to their need or their desire for a more decisive and a clear-headed policy vis-a-vis business.
When you refer to the address of the Congress President, he said something like dust numbering or something. These are deep flaws in the character of a person.
Chidambaram says India's forex reserves have risen to $300 billion, the fiscal deficit has been contained to 4.6% of GDP, and the current account deficit reduced to $35 billion from $88 billion last year.
The economy is more stable. No one talks about a downgrade anymore. The fundamentals have strengthened.
But can he convince voters? Shweta Rajpal Kohli, NDTV.
So is the rally at the stock markets and the turnaround in the economy because of a Modi wave, or is there credit to be given to the UPA government? Joining us tonight, Arvind Virmani, former Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India and former Executive Director of the IMF. Also with us from Kolkata, left economist Prasenjit Bose. We have Pawan Verma from the JDU joining us tonight from Patna, Salman Soos, spokesperson of the Congress, here in the studio with us, and Pinky Anand, spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. Virmani, I ask you first. You heard what Mr. Chidambaram said, and he outlined a number of reasons why he says that the economy seems to be getting back on its feet. He talked about the fiscal deficit being under control. He talked about the CAD and many other factors. Who does the credit go to for that?
Well, if you look at the stock market, basically the stock market represents the expectations about the future. That's what the stock markets are all about. And so what we have to see is what was happening a year ago and what's happening today. And basically, there was a downturn last year in capital flows and purchase of equity by foreign investors. The reason was the expectations. What were these expectations at that point? Two things stand out. One was the expectation or a rise. I'm not saying the imminence of a crisis, but the rise in the probability of a BOP crisis similar to 91. Basically because of two factors, the current account and the fiscal deficit. That has changed. I'll come to the current. The second was the expectations at that point, you may have forgotten, but the expectations of some kind of an uncertain, deadlocked parliament coming, which
And
would be
policy paralysis.
popularly called
Yeah.
a khichdi government or whatever you want to call it. Both those things have changed as far as foreign investors' perceptions are concerned. Firstly, the probability of a BOP crisis has gone down, and there some credit obviously goes to the finance minister in terms of reducing instead of increasing the fiscal deficit. A lot of people were thinking that there may be more giveaways before the election. That did not certainly happen. And clearly the current account deficit, which was shooting to 4% or so, is now reasonably under control. So clearly that has changed. And second, of course, is a host of opinion polls, etc., which have come out since that time, which indicate that there may be a stable government led by the current opposition party, and that too is a change from the almost universal expectations a year or so ago that it would be some kind of a khichdi government which would not be able to do anything.
So you're saying it's expectation. Salman Soos, I'll take that to you. So it's actually a kind of a mixed report card that Arvind Virmani gives there. There is credit that the UPA gets for certainly turning things around at this point. Whereas he says the stock markets are looking at the future, and their expectation is that perhaps a strong government under Mr. Modi is going to change the fundamental picture of the economy. What would you say to that?
Nidhi, I would say that the markets are cheering the country's fundamentals and nothing else. But these are not my words. This, the biggest financial newspaper of India says that. I don't say that. The fact of the matter is that if we look back to August, when things were we had a very grim situation. Our currency was kind of losing its value fast. Current account deficit was high. Fiscal deficit concerns were there. Lots of things were going back as bad, as Dr. Virmani also said. But we have turned these things around. Right now, your current account deficit in the last quarter was 0.9% of GDP. It's expected that the full year CAD will be about 2 to 2.5% of GDP. If you look at the currency, our currency right now is the second best performer in the emerging markets after the Indonesian rupee.
So you're saying the markets are cheering on those?
No. I just want to give you this, just to kind of give you a sense of when people say Mr. Modi is coming and this thing and that thing. So, when Mr. Modi was appointed the campaign chief, I'm a data guy. When Mr. Modi was appointed the campaign chief in June, if you look at the market, the BSE, the 30 stock index, it started first going up and then it went down. On September 4th, that's the date when Mr. Raghuram Rajan was appointed. And from that time, you'll see an upward trend in the market. If anybody thinks that Mr. Modi can come in and basically, with the kind of majority that the opinion polls, which I do not believe in, they're predicting, I personally think that it's impossible for Mr. Modi's decisiveness, so-called decisiveness, to kind of do anything. Why? If you just look at one reform that we tried to pass, the GST, who blocked it? One chief minister called Narendra Modi blocked it. So
you're saying there's a myth about his decisiveness?
No, you need a consensus builder. Mr. Modi cannot build consensus in his own party. How can he build consensus across the political spectrum?
Okay, let me take this to Pinky Anand, because Pinky Anand, would the BJP at least be willing to give credit to the Congress today and to the UPA for at least turning the economy around to the point where today the fiscal deficit is under control, the current account deficit is much lower than it was? Would the BJP be willing to concede that there, as Arvind Virmani was saying, Mr. Chidambaram's policies have worked?
Nidhi, it's a fairly interesting phenomenon when you hear such kind of features being said, that suddenly just on the eve of the 15th Lok Sabha elections, the UPA has done something possibly to change things around. Let's face the actual ground realities. The fact is that the current account deficit of the UPA was billions. It has been brought down. It doesn't mean that it has performed spectacularly well. A. B. The whole situation of the revival of the stock market, or for example the value of the rupee, the rupee is doing well today, has been on the footsteps of Mr. Modi's performances, and not only his being appointed as a prime ministerial candidate, but the fact of all these surveys coming in, whether anybody believes them or doesn't believe in them is quite another story. But the fact remains that the day the surveys have come in saying basically in terms that Mr. Modi is going to win, you have seen an escalation as far as the financial markets are concerned. So I don't think you need anything much to put two and two together. You've had UPA's 2 terms of dismal, whether you talk inflation, whether you talk about growth rate, whether you talk about GDP. I mean, a couple of features which have come today, if you're trying to say that the economy has turned around with UPA's performance, I'm sorry, you'll have to just go back to any of the figures to see that there is no reflection whatsoever on UPA's performances.
Why?
But
I just told you the fiscal deficit figure of 4.6%. That's just one figure. The current account deficit from 60 billion to 35 billion.
Nidhi,
I mean, those are figures. Those are real figures.
Don't take one
I'm just
criteria.
saying, for a moment, does politics aside, I mean, is there a concession that the BJP is willing to make that things are a little better today than they were maybe a year ago?
Nidhi, the reason that the situation has improved marginally today has been on account of Mr. Modi's acknowledged situation of his going to be succeeding in the next elections. The fact is that the world economic markets, the Indian economic markets look around to see good governance and to see whether there is going to be good performance. Based upon that, the markets rally around only on that basis. Why is it that in the last 10 years of UPA, you're talking about the current account deficit? Let me just go to some figures. Nidhi, in 2013, it was $80 billion. And for example, when NDA in 2004 left the government, it was 7.36 billion surplus.
Okay,
this
so
is what we are talking
Salman,
about. These are
quick
the kind
response.
of figures we need
She's
to compare.
saying the markets are about sentiment, and the sentiment is all about Modi.
I'm sorry. Unless Mr. Modi went and put a gun to the heads of onion retailers, the prices would not be coming down. Inflation right now, retail inflation, is at a 24-month low. Is that Mr. Modi's doing? How does Mr. Modi's sentiment or his presence...
By making it 24-month low,
it's a 24-month low. I'm sorry, Pinky, I did not interrupt.
The rates of inflation.
Let him finish.
I did not interrupt.
Don't talk about 24-month low.
Pinky ji, there are facts, and those facts cannot be countered by sentiment. Inflation is down at a 24-month low. You cannot challenge that. Okay,
From
because
what?
that is... And by the way, I want to come to your growth figures. You cannot compare the NDA to the UPA. The economy under the NDA was a very small economy. And by the way, the 8% that you keep tom-tomming, we had 5 years of plus 8% growth under the UPA on a much bigger economic base. There is no comparison between the NDA economy and the UPA economy. I'm sorry, it's a $2 trillion economy now. Your economy was around $450 billion economy. Please, economic base matters. This 8%, you had a year with 3.88% economic growth. Do you talk about it? You had a growth year. You had a year of 4.3% growth. Do you talk about it? Please don't talk to me about 1 year of growth. Please talk to me about the entire record.
Okay,
that is
one
the way we
second.
should talk about it.
Let me take this. Pinky, 1 second. Let me take this to Prasenjit.
Just 1 second.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Pinky. Quickly. Yes.
Just for example, you say 24-month low in inflation rate. What was the inflation rate? 12%. Which has been the highest ever in the BJP regime, in the NDA regime. What was it, 4%? I mean, that is a 5%, I'm sorry. 5%, you compare it to 12%.
That is not the way it's
24-month low. Is that what the figures are about? No, these are the figures quoted. I am not.
That's not the way it's calculated.
Okay, one second. Let me bring Prasenjit in here. Prasenjit Bose, the message then, at least as far as some market analysts and the BJP is concerned, is that Mr. Modi is a superhero that is going to save this country from economic ruin once he comes to power. What would you say to that, Mr. Bose?
Well, I have got slightly confused here because first of all, it needs to be clarified whether the stock market is about the fundamentals of the economy or is it about sentiments, which is another euphemism for basically sheer speculation. Because as far as the fundamentals are concerned, our economy is still in dire straits. We have been having less than 5% growth over the past 2 years. The economy is actually in doldrums. There is job losses. All the sectors, industrial growth has almost touched zero. That is the situation we are facing today in our economy. Now, in this backdrop, you have a rally in the stock market. I would say this is nothing but what is a bubble, which is an irrational exuberance. And actually, I think that both what the Congress and the BJP are saying, both I think is complete rubbish. Because as far as the Congress is concerned, they are saying that the economic situation has improved. What is they indicated? They are saying current account deficit. The current account deficit has come down because growth has come down. Growth itself has come down, imports have fallen. That is why the current account deficit, this has got nothing to do with Mr. Chidambaram's policy or whatever. The basic point is that this UPA government has led to a situation where economic growth has come down whereas inflation has persisted. So the Congress's claims are completely, untenable. But as far as the BJP is concerned, I think that, first of all, they really need to seriously tell the people of our country what they have to offer. If this is the best that they are capable of, that because Mr. Modi is coming, some speculators in the stock market have taken the Sensex to 22,000. I mean, how does it affect the lives of the common people?
So you're saying it's hype. It's all hype around Modi.
Question. Absolutely, it's a bubble. It's a bubble, and I'm predicting.
I don't know what he basically. It's a bubble which is there.
It's only a matter of weeks.
It's a bubble which seems to exist. Let's link it to the real life situation. Let's go to the ground.
So many times.
Pinky, I'll take that back to you. Yes.
Basically, you have to take the current situation to just see one factor. Aside from the fact that UPA's predictions of some figures going up and down is of no consequence whatsoever. You have to look at the entire term of the UPA in the last 10 years. The first 5 years where they reaped the benefits of what NDA had done for the economy, and the second term of UPA being a total disaster, leading to whether it's current account deficit. I agree with my learned friend here to say that it has gone down possibly because the growth rate has gone down. Look at the growth rate. And these are the factors that matter for an economy at the end of the day. Look at the growth rate, look at the inflation.
Yeah, but
12%. If it has gone down in the last 24 months, a couple of percent makes no difference. In NDA regime, it was 5%. You had the highest possible growth in all sectors.
No, so one second, Pawan Verma.
No, Miss Anand,
just weigh in on this. Yeah, okay. Prasad, finish your point and then I'll get to Pawan Verma. Yes.
I just wanted to say, you see, Ms. Anand, we have not forgotten the fact that the NDA went for the 2004 elections claiming that India was shining. And we all know what the election results were.
I mean, that's not,
so this
that
whole
is not the issue.
High ground that you are taking vis-a-vis economic
It's not about elections, you're talking about stock markets.
This doesn't hold any water. No, what is more germane to today's discussion is that you have a situation where the stock market, when the economy, there is an economic gloom in the country and the stock market has suddenly crossed 22,000, the Sensex has crossed 22,000. I am saying there is something fishy in that. What is the connection? Which scripts are going up? Which stocks are going up? Are certain stocks experiencing abnormal price appreciation? Are those corporate houses whose stocks are experiencing abnormal price appreciation somehow linked to the BJP's prime ministerial candidate? Those are the questions that BJP needs to answer.
No, and let me just get another political perspective though on this.
Answer this.
But Pawan Verma, let me get you in on this. Would you admit that there is, when you don't look at the fine print for a moment, certainly a perception that Mr. Modi is going to represent a business model or certainly an economic model that investors will find to be far more friendly than the UPA, and that is what the markets are reacting to. Whether it's true or not is a different story. The fact is there is a perception that this government has faltered and that Mr. Modi is the answer.
Nidhi, in today's front page of the Economic Times, Neelkant Mishra, the Director Research of Credit Suisse, has said that essentially what is happening is that the market had completely bottomed out, and irrespective of who comes to power, you're bound to see a certain amount of the rallying of the market. Secondly, while there is no doubt that the governance record of the UPA has been fairly suboptimal, it is possible that in the last 1 year, just in anticipation of the election, and because the economy had gone so much out of hand, certain correctives were applied, which have led to a certain control on the fiscal account deficit and the current account deficit. Certain fundamentals have improved. India is a continental-sized economy. Investors will remain interested, and there has been a rally. Thirdly, the stock market, as has been said by one of your panelists, Prasanjit, is a speculative. If it is based on performance, then I want to ask to you, and I want to ask this seriously, what has been the economic promise of Mr. Modi? Gujarat's GSDP is, I think, 6th or 7th in the country. Its agricultural output is 8th in the country. It is today listed among the states with the least amount of industrial growth. That is the reality and the claims.
21st.
The claim was that Gujarat's vibrant summit from 2003 to 2011 got investments worth 876 billion at the rate of 84% implementation. If that was the case, then Gujarat alone got more investment than all of China did. So therefore the market
So
is a
therefore-
little more
therefore,
perceptive.
Mr. Verma,
I'm not
what is the
talking about
argument?
stock-
No, but
stock
Pawan
market.
Gujarat has a
How
maximum
do you
investment.
there are people like Arvind Virmani,
Gujarat has a maximum
there are people
trust
like
in Gujarat,
Arvind
they're going for
Virmani
Gujarat.
and other very
Nidhi,
respected economists
Nidhi,
today who believe that this is the
Nidhi,
sentiment
I'm
for
coming to
Modi.
you. Nidhi, you came to me last.
Yeah,
you came to me
Go
last.
ahead.
Let
I'm
me
asking you
finish
the
my
question.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying to you, therefore, the market, the economy is a little more perceptive than the claims on economic performance of Mr. Modi, which beyond Gujarat, where in any case they are dubious, have not been seen on a national scale. And I also agree that A, there is no guarantee that he is coming to power, and B, even more worryingly for the economy, he has shown no credentials as a consensus builder who can lead a coalition. Therefore, I think for the BJP to exult that this is showing an indication towards Mr. Modi, I ask them a simple question. On a speculative stock market, if tomorrow there is a fall, will they link the rise and fall of their supreme leader to that?